Evening, everyone. Warm welcome to DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar from District 105 and all our debating team from District 105. We have with us Pooja Baburaj, Toastmaster Pooja Baburaj, DTM Sudarshan Chaudhary, Toastmaster Nikita Kolangde, Toastmaster Nimi Sebastian, Toastmaster Bandana Jain, and Toastmaster Pranav Trikhanad. A warm welcome to you all for this session, which you will be conducting for us because you're going to do the demo. We are extremely happy about it. And thank you so much for agreeing and giving to give us this session. Warm welcome to all the district officers of 121, District 1 and 105, as well as the Toastmasters of District 121 and all our guest Toastmasters. Good evening to all of you and a warm welcome. Debates brings out the best in any discussions. We have it in our houses also. My husband and I, we always debate. We find our kids either pro us or against us. But these days, they are very diplomatic. They just say, it's your headache, you all solve it, and they just move away. So it happens, and it's high intensity also. So for most of us, it may not be new, but yes, there are different ways of doing it. And that's what I think today, we would like DTM Sandeep and his team to give it to us. It brings out several perspectives, makes any discussion highly informative so that you are in a position to vote and understand any topic or subject. It occurs in public meetings, academic institutions, legislative assemblies, parliaments, TV shows. We have a lot of debates happening in TV shows, but I don't know whether it really follows any pattern. But then, yes, there is the one scream that even the moon can hear. And at the other end, there are softer ones also. So there are several ways of debating. It brings out the logical consistency, the factual accuracy, and leads to a healthy, informed voting to make good resolutions. There's several types. I was just looking at it. There are parliamentary debates. There's Oxford style debating, Paris style debating. The British parliamentary debating is one of the most popular ones. Then we also have for policy debating and turncoat debating. So there are several types of debating. The other most popular one is the US presidential campaign debate. I think that's something that takes the whole world. Most of us sit and listen to that as well. It's going on at this point of time. You have the US debate on, which is very interesting. So at Division F, we have a Premier Premier League, Division F Premier League. Every year we come up with something unique so that we build the communication and oratory skills of our Toastmasters in this division. The last 2 years have been very, very interesting. And this year we said, let's have something new. And that's when Jyotika suggested, why not have debates? And the entire division council felt, yes, let's have something more innovative and let's have a debate. And to help us in this and to understand, we have with us a DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar, a 3-time Division J debate champion from District 105 with his team. I wouldn't like to take much time, but I thank all from DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar and your entire team for coming forward and giving us your time to educate us on this session. So with that, a warm welcome from Division, all the members of Division F to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And over to you, Bharati Shevkur, to continue with the introductions. Bharati, you're muted.
Thank you, Molly. Dear Toastmasters, it's not very often that we have directors of multinational conglomerates as resource persons at Toastmasters events. Less common is having directors of such companies from across the seas, Saat Samandar Par, as they say. But the marvels of technology have made even this possible for us, and hence we have as a resource person here this evening an IT conglomerate director of Al Futem, based in Dubai, a passionate Toastmaster, and most importantly for us, an accomplished debater, DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar. His passion for Toastmasters and additionally his commitment to the movement is clear from the fact that he is currently a member of 3 clubs: City of Gold Toastmasters Club, which is his home club; Take the Bait, which I think should have sounded like Take Debate, it's just a supposition; and JLT Toastmasters Club in Dubai. His experience in debating goes a long way, as his home division, Division J, has been following the tradition of conducting a debate championship every year. He's a 3 times Division J debate champion and has also conducted more than 50 debate education sessions for clubs and areas over the last 3 years. His leadership credentials are impeccable. He's a founding member and mentor of the first debate club in UAE, Take the Bait, spelled TAKE space DE capital BAIT, just for some vision of how it sounds. A club to hone debating skills and sharpen impromptu speaking abilities, it says in its website, one of a kind. Take the Bait was the first Toastmasters club in Dubai dedicated to debates and table topics only, chartered in 2018. DTM Vengsarkar has served as the Division Director of Division L in District 105 for the term 2019-2020. DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar is thus fresh off the leadership boat and is possibly raring to don mentorship gloves again. I'd like to inform DTM Vengsarkar that Division F is one of the strongest divisions in the district, with clubs that have garnered the highest educational awards. The movement is very strong in this region and has a healthy combination of experienced as well as newbie Toastmasters, and hence we're all ears to know if you can offer us fresh insights on how we can take the concept of debate battle forward. We look forward to this educational session with you, sir, and hope to have the first ever debate battle of this division to stimulate, enliven, and energize our already interested and cheerful Toastmaster members. It is with great enthusiasm and earnestness that I hand over the session to you, sir. Dear Toastmasters assembled here, DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar for you. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, DTM Bharti and DTM Molly Chowdhury, for that beautiful introduction and also the warm welcome to Division F. A big thank you to Toastmaster Jyotika for this opportunity, and that something to do with debates is something which I always love. DTM Molly Chowdhury, I liked the fact that you touched upon the various aspects of a debate or the various types of debate. I'm not going to ask you the question of who wins the debates at home. Maybe that's something which is a secret that you would like to keep. But I will, the way I will about the next 45 minutes or so that I have as a part of my education session is the following. I would initially do a quick introduction to this format of the debate that we have, then go into the actual execution of the debate, including some of the things around the timing and so on. That will take me probably the first 10 minutes. Then I would spend 10 minutes each on each one of the roles that are a part of the team in the debate, followed by a question and answer session, and then we will go on to the debate. As a request, I prefer seeing some of the people on video. So if there are no bandwidth issues, I would request you if you could potentially leave the videos on, because I'd like to get that visual feedback on whether I'm actually putting people to sleep or I am doing something interesting as a part of my education session. So let me start off a quick 1 or 2 slides presentation and then move on to the core of this thing. So I'm going to share my screen for the time being, a few slides, and then let's see how this goes. If you have any questions, please put them on the chat and we'll see how we can tackle them either during the course of the first session or we can pick it up at the end of the session. So very briefly, let me just see why this is not working. Okay. Okay. This is typically, this is how I would like to structure this thing in terms of the introduction, the structure, the judge's ballot, and look at the role player characteristics. And finally, if there's something that in terms of good to know. The introduction, Molly, you touched upon this, the various forms of debate that exist, the Oxford form or the presidential forms, the parliamentary debates, and so on. Now, the form of debate that we currently, and which I'll talk to you about, is a kind of what I call it as the T20 of debates, because it's a much shorter form. All the other debates take a much longer time from a elapsed time perspective. Also are normally significantly intense in terms of the amount of effort you need to put in there. And hence this form is something which we developed in Division J more than 10 years back, when we did away with the tall tales contest and concentrated on this form of debate. As I said, it's consists of 2 teams of 3 members each, and I will get into the details in a moment. The reason I call this as a T20 form is reason is it gets finished in normally 25 minutes. All your other forms would take you a much longer period of time, which becomes a bit difficult when you get into a competitive mode when you're talking 16 clubs to be done. Till the last year, when we were in a physical mode, we used to run this on a day. So we normally used to have 12 or 13 clubs in the division gathering together at 8 o'clock in the morning and finishing at around 8 o'clock in the evening with all the rounds complete. And that we could only achieve because of this form of the debate. So you would not find this on the TMI website. You would not find the ballot that is there, because we designed the ballot a few years back, and I'll quickly take you through that. And then we can look at some of the things. Now, going further, let's look at what, normally the topics for these debates and any kind of debates, I divided into three types of topics. One is a topic which is a topic to pass a motion to change a status quo. An example of that could be death penalty should be abolished, or euthanasia should be legalized. That's basically a topic which is changing the status quo. The second kind of topic is a topic that is asking you to take a stand. For example, space resources are a waste of resources. Sorry, space exploration is a waste of resources. That's a topic which is asking you to take a stand. And the third kind of topic which is there is a topic which I called as comparative topics. For example, online education is better than traditional education. Or the one which I'm going to use as an example, women are better managers than men. Now, these are what I call as comparative debates. So there is basically a comparison of 2. So these are normally the 3 kinds of topics that you would have as a part of a debate. Now, for this specific format of the debate, you can call it a T20 format. This is what the structure is. So let's look at it. The topic, assume that the topic for today is women are better managers than men. That's the topic of this debate. There are 2 teams of 3 people each. There is a team which is speaking for the topic, which is called the affirmative team. And there is a team which is speaking against the topic, which is called the negative team. The speaking, there are 3 roles. There is an opening speaker, there is a rebuttal speaker, and there is a closing speaker. The speaking order is the following. The opening speaker of the affirmative team speaks first, and I will come in a moment to what that person does. Then there is the negative team opening speaker who comes second and who speaks for 3 minutes. After that is the rebuttal speaker of the team speaking against the topic. The after N2 is the rebuttal speaker from the team affirmative, followed by the closing speaker from the team negative, and then the closing speaker from the team affirmatives. The timings, we have 3 minutes of time for the opening and the rebuttal speaker. We don't now have all three indicators. We go with amber for 2 minutes 30 seconds, red for 3, and we mute the speaker at 3 minutes 10 seconds. And for the closing speakers, we have the amber at 1 minute 30, the red at 2, and then it gets muted at 2 minutes 10 seconds. In a physical world, when we used to have this, we normally used to have the timer clapping at 2 minutes 10 seconds, which was basically an indication to the judges not to accept any comment made after that point of time as a part of their judging criteria. In a online world, it's become a little more easier. The timer can just go on and mute the speaker himself or herself. So that is the structure of the speech. After this, I'm going to go on to the individual speakers, the opening, the rebuttal, and the closing speaker, and just look at, before that, very quickly, the ballot sheet. Now,
4057.
yeah. So this is the ballot sheet that we designed for this form of, specifically for this form of debate. And if you look at this ballot sheet, you would see that 70% of this ballot is for content and only about 30% for delivery. Okay. The reason being, the core thing in a debate is what content you present to the audience and not really the way you present it. Looking at notes is not a challenge. Reading out is not a challenge, because what you are looking at is purely from a contents perspective, how the debate is organized. So debate development is basically how have you structured your speech? How have you organized it? Are you providing value to the audience? And there is a detailed ballot sheet to this, which I will share with you separately, very similar to the ballot sheet that we get from Toastmasters International. The individual speakers, this is the scores are given to individual speakers at a time. So there is a speaking for the scores given to the opening speaker, the rebuttal speaker, and the closing speaker of each teams, all totaling up to 100. Then we total up a team score to, let's say, out of the 300, and whichever is the team which gets the higher score wins the debate. So that is the scoring pattern and the ballot sheet of how this works. How do you make the maximum out of this ballot sheet? How do you score maximum out on each one of these? I will come to that when I start looking at the individual speakers. So let me go on to the next one. Let me before that see if there is any question related to this point, and just see whether there is something which we do at the moment. Just give me a minute for that. Okay, there are a few questions. Just 1 second.
Do you mean on the chat box, sir?
Yes. I'm just seeing
on the
whether
chat box, as of now, there are no questions.
Yeah. Okay, there is, okay, that's fine. So I think I will proceed with the session.
Probably they don't know that you want to take questions even
No.
as you present your...
Okay, no worries. We'll then we'll just continue with the structure that we have agreed on. I don't want to change it at the moment. Let's go ahead to the next point. Okay, so now let's look at the characteristics of the individual speakers. Now, the opening speaker is of either of the teams is expected to do is to provide the initial construct. When I mean the initial construct, it is the initial position of his or her team, whether it's an affirmative speaker or whether it's a negative speaker, it doesn't matter. It is expected to be a 3 minutes prepared speech with a proper opening, body, and conclusion with the way it in any other prepared speech. Given the fact that it is only 3 minutes, I would recommend that don't try to bring too many things as a part of that of the 3 minute speech. Okay. Take make it into 3 to 4 minute speeches. I'm getting some kind of an echo. I'm not sure. Can I request a mute?
Can we request everyone to mute, please? Except for Sangeet.
Okay, thank you. So 3 to 4 minutes is what you should try. 3 to 4 points is what you should try to do. So let's take the example: are women are better managers than men. 3 to 4 points on why you think women are better managers than men is the first speech that would come from the affirmative speaker. Important here is whether you believe it or not, you have to sound convincing as an affirmative speaker. You might not believe in the topic at all, but that doesn't mean that you cannot step in with conviction. Take a direct stand. When I say take a direct stand, it means that it is only the topic that you believe in and nothing else. So when you are speaking, saying women are better managers than men, making a statement in the middle of it with saying there might be some cases where some women are men are better managers is not the right thing. It has to be only my way or the highway. So if you are for the motion, ensure that that is the only thing that you speak about. Ensure that you reiterate the topic at regular intervals during the course of the 3-minute speech. Going back, how do you get the maximum number of points in terms of the content and the structure? In a debate, the most important thing is when you take a position or you make a statement, that you have the supporting to justify that statement that you make. That supporting can be one of 3 things. Could be a part of a research conducted by a well-known organization and published. Could be an incident which could have happened as a part of anything in the world, or could also be references to personalities and people in the world which are well known. Right, so these are 3 key things that are that can be used as supporting. The best, obviously, is when it is research and the research is published. But a few things to remember here. When you are quoting research, the first and most important point, ensure that the research is as recent as possible. And I will tell you why when I go on to my next slide. Ensure that the research is as recent as possible. Number 1. Number 2, mention who did the research and when and how. And number 3, ensure the statistics related to the research. These are 3 things which are important from a research point of view. If you are quoting personalities, try to quote or reference personalities which are well known. Talking about your personal experiences or your family is not really a great thing as a part of the debate. And again, I will show you why when I go on to my next slide. And similarly with incidents which are known all over the world and which are not exceptional things which are happening once in a while. So these are the kinds of things that provide the supportings for the statements that you make. So women are better managers than men. If you come up with a statement, it says that they are better managers because managers require multitasking skills and they have multitasking skills. Now, this is a position that you are taking. Is there a supporting research to this position? Was there a research conducted by an organization which scientifically or otherwise proved that there is something in the brain which actually helps in the multitasking? So that is one way of supporting it. It has to go down. That's the reason I said you will get time maximum for 3 to 4 such kind of things, because you are going to create a supporting for every point you are going to make. So that's number one. Incidents, as I said, uh, people who are there. Now, when you are creating these 3 to 4 points, a lot of times what people do is they try to structure it in a way that their most important point comes at the end, so that they will leave with a bang. And what I have observed is by the time you reach there, you have finished your 3 minutes and your most important point has slipped away. So my recommendation, if you have a very, very strong point, very important point that you need to speak, bring it right up front. And if you have time at the end, summarize your position so that that point gets uh, comes back again at the end of your speech. Don't let it go away. So these are the few key things. The other thing, as an opening speaker, be a little bit careful about asking for audience opinion. We as Toastmasters have been told, engage the audience, engage the audience. But the engaging the audience can become a little bit dangerous in a debating scenario, which I will show you in the next slide. In an online situation, it is a lesser of a chance that we will engage the audience. But in a physical scenario, there are a lot of times when people have tried this, and this has actually created a bit of a problem for the opening speaker. So in summary, 3-minute prepared speech, 3 to 4 points. Try to get your best points forward as much as possible. Ensure that when you take a position, that it is either supported by research or by facts or by incidents which are well known, well-known personalities, rather than uh, uh, personalities whom people don't know about. Research ideally which is global rather than specific to a country. So this is the opening speaker. I'll now go on to the second speaker, which is the rebuttal speaker. Now, the rebuttal speaker of a team, the one key characteristic that this person needs to have, he or she needs to be a very, very keen listener and a very, very fast writer. Two things that it needs to have. Because the moment the opening speaker starts speaking, what you are doing is you are only writing the points at that point of time, making notes of key words that are there as part of the opening speakers. And these keywords can make a difference to your rebuttal. What is the rebuttal speaker expected to do? He is expected to trash, I use the word trash, as far as possible, every single position that the opening speaker of the opposition has done. So if someone is saying X, Y, Z is the status, I should be able to come up and say, the point that you're making is not relevant because of X, Y, and Z. And that's the role of the rebuttal speaker. And that's what is expected to happen as a part of my rebuttal speaker's role. How does he do that? How does the rebuttal speaker really do his job, his or her job well? A lot of times people who get into debates think that a job of a rebuttal speaker starts when the opening speaker of the opposition starts speaking. I disagree with that. The rebuttal speaker's role starts at the point when you are given the topic. As a rebuttal speaker of any one of the teams, the first thing that you can do is put yourself in the shoes of the opening speaker of the opposition and try to develop a potential statement that person is going to come up with. If you do that, you will immediately know what are the potential points that and the positions that the opposition is going to come with. See, let's be realistic. What will everyone do when given a topic? The first thing that they do is they put a Google search. That's the first thing. And the moment that Google searches them, they first look at the 10 things that are coming up on the Google search and start making notes on them. So if you look at these points, you would know what the opening speaker is going to say. So once that is done, you create a kind of match the column, which basically says, which becomes a menu. If the opening speaker says X, I will retort with A. If he says Y, I will report with B. If he says Z, I will retort with C. That is a kind of opening, the work that the rebuttal speaker does at the beginning of the session. And then it's a menu box for him. Then he is sitting there as a part of the speech, just going through it and marking out what are the points that the opening speaker of the opposition has really said and what are his retorts. Now, what do you look for in terms of the rebuttals? Everything that I said, the opening speaker should do. If he or she has not done that, are points for your rebuttal. If there is a position which is being taken without a supporting, the rebuttal speaker can come back and say, my learned opponent made a statement which said that women are better managers because they have multitasking capabilities. My dear sir, where did you get this information from? I didn't hear a quote of any research. I didn't know where is this information coming from. So that's the reason that's the first point. The second thing, the research is quoted, but the research is, let's say, from a period 2003. So assume that the person has made a comment in 2003, there was a research conducted by Harvard Business School. Sir, we are living in an online age. This is the internet age. 2003 was 17 years ago. How are some of the findings there related to what we are doing now? So that's some of the points that the rebuttal speaker uses to basically bring down the positions and the statements made by the opening speaker of the opposition. The other thing that normally happens is, a lot of times the opening speaker says, research has shown that X, Y, and Z. Does not talk about where the research was done. And if I were the rebuttal speaker, I would basically go in and say, sir, you mentioned some research. Is this some research that you have done on your way coming to this debating session? Because I didn't hear you mention anything about the source or when it was done. So the rebuttal speaker has that leeway to get into that kind of sarcastic comments. The next one is when a person uses, a lot of times people use a personal experience to justify a position. And the rebuttal speaker in that situation can take a stand. Sir, you used a personal example. It's very good. I like you. I respect you. But you are not a representative of the organization in the world. You are not, or your company is not a representative of the billions of people in the world. So how is your personal experience relevant to this debate? So that is again a role of the rebuttal speaker. As I said, bring down everything point by point. You have to do it point by point to every single thing that the rebuttal speaker, the opening speaker has done. The rebuttal speaker in most of the debates becomes like the show stealer. The person can do a lot of drama, right? He can use words which are basically sarcastic as long as it is not demeaning to the opposition. My learned opponent's opening speech was like the roads of Mumbai, full of potholes, is a very, very normal statement that we would do as a part of the rebuttal. The opening speech was like a piece of Swiss cheese, full of holes. I don't know which ones to start plugging. So these are typically the statements that a rebuttal speaker can use to make it sarcastic and poke fun at the opposing speaker. But remember, don't make it personal. So don't call out the name of the person, just the opening speaker, and reference it more to the speech than the person. The second thing is, do not use non-diplomatic language. Using a term like nonsense also, like this was all nonsense, is actually a non-diplomatic. So avoid those kinds of personal things. But otherwise, the rebuttal speaker has the liberty to become sarcastic. You know, in Toastmasters language, we say that we have the term says evaluate to motivate, right? I consider a rebuttal as an evaluate to demotivate. At the end of your rebuttal speech, the opening speaker of the opposition should ideally feel like poking his or her head in the sand or running away from that podium. And you can actually do that very, very, very beautifully if you go point by point and use some of these terms. I talked about the example where on audience involvement. I have seen a lot of people, and this happened to specifically in a physical environment, where the opening speaker asked a question, how many of you, I didn't specifically ask support the motion, uh, how many of you think women are better managers than men? There was an audience about 100 people, 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, and 3 people raised their hand. The moment 3 people raise their hand, and if you are a rebuttal speaker who is observing that, you can actually kill that argument there itself. Sir, you asked a question to 100 people. Only 3 people raised their hand. So why are we even discussing, sitting here discussing this any further? Only 3 people agree to your statement. So that's a tool of a rebuttal speaker. See, what happens is the audience involvement is not because they don't believe, but by the time they understand your question, by the time they react, you don't have time to wait. So don't avoid using an audience involvement as a part of your speech. So those are some of the key things from a rebuttal speaker's perspective. Typically at the end of your 3-minute speech, you should basically be saying everything that my opponent speaker has said does not make any sense because they did not have supporting, they say used a research which was old, they did not have the right incidents, they use personal examples, and all of that is not relevant to this debate. So let's not waste our time and go back and have a good cup of coffee. That is the role of the rebuttal speaker. And the rebuttal speaker, as I said, can really become the hero of your debate. Now, the next one is the role of the closing speaker. Now, the closing speaker is a speaker who's expected only, and I use the word, okay, before I go there, there is one thing specifically that I want to bring about for the rebuttal speaker of the affirmative team. If you look at the chart, the rebuttal speaker of the affirmative team is speaking after the rebuttal speaker of the negative team. And sometimes he or she might get into the trap of rebutting the rebuttal. That is not what you are expected to do. As a rebuttal speaker of the affirmative team, you are only expected to rebut the opening speaker of the negative team. So you can actually switch off when the rebuttal speaker of the negative team is speaking. So that is an approach that you can take. Now let's go on to the closing speaker. Now the closing speaker of any team is expected to only summarize his or her position, her team's position, which is what did my opening speaker say? What did my rebuttal speaker do? And hence, what am I asking you as a house to do? That is all that the closing speaker needs to do or is expected to do. So how do you prepare as a closing speaker? One thing you remember that your opening speaker speech is ready even before the debate starts. So as a closing speaker, 50% of your speech should be ready before the debate starts, because your opening speaker has done his job or her job. So you should basically be taking the opening speaker's thing, saying that my opening speaker has proved to you by research, by examples, X, Y, and Z. We gave you the example of X, we gave you the research of Y, we told you the incident of Z. That is my opening speaker's position. Take 1 minute for that out of the 2 minutes that have been given to you. And that should be ready even before the debate starts. If it is not, then you have not done your teamwork. The next 40 seconds is your summarization of the rebuttal speaker points. Now, this is where two things happen. One is sometimes the rebuttal speaker goes haywire and does not follow a script that you have agreed. So in which case you will have to basically ensure that you are making notes of what's happening. Or sometimes the opening speaker of the opposition goes haywire and does not go along the line which you were expecting, because of which it has created a problem for your rebuttal speaker. And that is why give 40 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds for the rebuttal speaker. And the typical statement from a closing speaker when summarizing your rebuttal speaker is the following. My rebuttal speaker has shown that there were no relevant points raised by the opening speaker of the opposition, because they did not come up with any research, they did not do this, and you can quote what your rebuttal speaker has said. And in that period, you will finish 30 seconds. By just saying that, you will finish 30 seconds. So that is your summary of your rebuttal speaker. And then the last is your generic summary. Basically, and this is where we have used different techniques. Given by what my opening speaker has said, given what how my rebuttal speaker has shown you that there were no points raised by the opening speaker of the opposition, we are going to request you as a house to accept the motion X, Y, or Z. Come back to your motion, why you started this. So if I was the closing speaker of the affirmative team, I would say, we have shown you, my opening speaker has shown you X, Y, and Z. My rebuttal speaker has trashed all the points raised by the opposition. Hence, I would now request you as a house to accept the motion that women are better managers than men. That is an affirmative team. The negative team is basically saying the same thing. My opening speaker has shown this. My rebuttal speaker has basically said there is no validity to the statements made by the opening speaker of the opposition. Hence, we as a team would request you to reject the motion that women are better managers than men. Remember, as a negative team, you are only there to get the motion rejected. You are not there to prove the reverse of the motion. So as a negative team, there is no need to say, we would ask you, I would request you to accept the motion that men are better managers than women. That's not your prerogative. The motion on the floor was women are better managers than men. So you can only reject the motion that women are better managers. And you don't need to go back and prove that men are better. So that in a nutshell is the closing speakers thing. You keep on ensuring and refreshing the judge's memory. And a lot of times, what we have seen happening is the opening speaker at the end of the two sections, you find that the teams are going equal. And the difference is in the way the closing speaker does the closing and reinforces the statements that have been made by the by his or her team. A lot of people say maybe the closing speaker does not have a role. I don't think so. I think the closing speaker plays a very, very definitive role that is there. As a closing speaker, don't worry about what the other team has said at all. You can actually switch off your ears when that is happening. You can only concentrate on your team, and that's all you need to do. Various terms that we have done in the past is the opening speaker, the closing speaker normally starts saying, in the last 15 minutes, our team has shown you that the statement women are better managers than men is not the correct statement. My opening speaker has shown you X, Y, and Z. My rebuttal speaker has done this. Hence, I would now ask you as a house to reject the motion. And it has to be a very emphatic and a strong closing from the closing speaker. So that is the three speakers that we need to talk about. I think this is all from my canned presentation perspective, what I wanted to take you through. We can now go through some of the questions that are already there in the chat and look at them. And then subsequently, if required, any questions that you want to ask me, we can take this up. I'm now going to stop sharing and we can then start looking at the questions. Okay. Right. So can we go back and
Jyotika, are you going to
Yes, ma'am.
moderate the questions, or do you want me to
No, you
help?
go ahead and moderate the questions. I'll
Okay.
be moderating the debate session.
Okay. DTM Sandeep, there have been actually two questions on the chat box, but both the questions have been answered by your teammate, DTM Sudarshan. One question was about the debate topic being given earlier or on the spot. So the answer given by DTM Sudarshan is that usually for the first round, you give it earlier, but for the semifinals and finals, you give it 10 to 15 minutes earlier. If you have anything to add to this reply given by DTM Sudarshan, you may do so.
Yes. Yeah, and that is the structure that we followed for all our Division J debates, where we started in the morning and finished at the end. And my thing is, it is tuned towards a physical scenario. In an online scenario, if you're going to do that, might be a bit difficult, but there is no reason why you cannot do that. We actually did that. We only gave 15 minutes for every other round later on, when the topics were given, and even the for and against team were done later on. So it is definitely that way. But again, as I said right at the beginning, there are no rules. You as a Division F can fine tune some of the rules. See, one good thing about these our debates is there are no TMI rule books associated with this.
Yes. And there was one more question about the salutation as to how we address our opponents. That also has been answered by DTM Sudarshan, my worthy opponent, my educated
so learned opponent is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has already given that answer. If there is anything else that you would like to add on, you may. He has given three options.
I think that is
for that. Worthy opponent,
my
learned opponent, educated opponent. Now, I just had one query. That is, we were told sometime back by one of a well-known journalist of Mangalore, actually. He told us that a debate topic should never be a question. It should always be a statement. So do you adhere to that rule?
40 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you look at, it should always be a statement. It cannot be, and he's absolutely right. It should always be a statement which there should be someone taking a side for or against the topic.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. I think now we will move on to the demo of debate, which Jyotika will be moderating.
Question from
Molly,
Diksha
shall we take the questions later? We will go according to the time. So we will move on now, and other questions can be taken later, because DTM Sandeep will once again be giving his own feedback to the debate. After that, there is again a question answer session. We'll take more questions then. Is that okay? Over to Jyotika. Jyotika, I think we will have the model debates now.
Thank you very much, DTM Malini Hebar. Sandeep, DTM Sandeep, can we begin the debate now?
Yes, yes, please. Yes, please. Just give me, Jyotika, give me 30 seconds between speakers just to make my notes, please.
Sure. Toastmaster Beena?
Jyotika,
Yes.
can you ask everyone to mute themselves because this is very, very important now onwards.
Toastmaster Beena?
Yeah.
While time, yes, between each speaker will give DTM Sandeep 30 seconds to note down his evaluation.
All right. I'll be clapping.
Right.
3 minutes, 10 seconds.
So you'll be clapping, but yes, after that, we'll have to give 30 seconds to Sandeep to note down his evaluation, because under normal circumstance, they'll be judging. But today we will not be having any judging on the speakers, but instead we will be having an evaluation session post the debate session. All right. So before we begin the debate, I'll just state a few rules. Normally under a contest scenario, the rules are quite in depth, but today I'm not going to touch upon those in depth. This is just a demo. So I'll just highlighting a few points that needs to be highlighted. Today we have two debate teams that will be debating with each other, and the debate topic today is competition benefits learning. The motion on the floor today is competition benefits learning. We have two teams consisting of opening speaker, rebuttal speaker, and a closing speaker. The opening speaker will speak for 3 minutes, and a 10-minute grace time will be granted to the speaker. The rebuttal speaker will be speaking for 3 minutes again, and a 10-second of grace period will be given. The closing speaker will be allowed to speak for 2 minutes with a 10-second grace period. Timer, please note the timing mechanism. When the opening and the rebuttal speaker speaks at 2.5 minutes, I request you to show the yellow card or the yellow light. And at 3 minutes, please show the red light. There'll be no green light that will be shown. When the timing hits 3 minutes, 10 seconds, that is after a grace period of 10 seconds, please start clapping. And the clapping would indicate that the time is up.
Can I intervene here?
Sorry?
Yeah, I wanted to tell if it will be better to mute the speaker instead of clap, because the clap may not be heard by who's talking. So,
Beena, I'll make you the host then. Probably you can. Are you the host today?
No, I am not.
Okay. Okay, I've made you the co-host. Pranav is right. Maybe you could mute the speaker.
Just a moment, let me try.
Anyone, you can just mute anyone. Try muting someone.
Try muting Jyotika first.
Well, okay. Are you muted? Jyotika, are you muted? Yes? All right, fine.
Right, okay. So I'll leave it to you, Beena, then to handle that part of it. So as far as the timing is concerned, we'll only have the amber or the yellow light and the red light. There'll be no green lights with a 10-second grace. So we have two teams today, the team affirmative and team negative. They've already been decided in advance. Under normal circumstance, again, there will be a draw of lot that'll be done, but this has already been decided. From team affirmative, we have Toastmaster Pooja Baburaj as the opening speaker, DTM Sudarshan Sheshadri as the rebuttal speaker, and Toastmaster Nikita Kolangde as the closing speaker. So we have Toastmaster Pooja Baburaj, DTM Sudarshan Sheshadri, and Toastmaster Nikita Kolangde. From team negative, we have Toastmaster Pranav Trikanad as the opening speaker, Toastmaster Nimi Sebastian as the rebuttal speaker, and Toastmaster Bandana Jain as the closing speaker. So from team negative, we have Toastmaster Pranav Trikanad, Toastmaster Nimi Sebastian, and Toastmaster Vandana Jain. I'll quickly run through the way the speaking order. Should I repeat the speaking order, Sandeep? That is for and the against, how they will be speaking? There's no need. You've already explained that. Sandeep? There's no need. No need. Okay. All right. So let's begin with the debate topic. Are all the speakers ready? Is it okay if I request everyone to close your videos so that it's easy for the timer to mute the speaker? I think if everyone other than the speakers. Yes, thank you very much. All right. So here we begin with the debate topic. The motion on the floor is common benefits learning. May I now request speaker from Team Affirmative who would be speaking for the topic to open the motion, to open the discussion. Toastmaster Pooja Baburaj.
Respected members of the House, a very good evening to one and all. I will be serving as the constructive speaker for the motion, Competition Benefits Learning. Let's examine the defining keyword in our motion statement, learning. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, learning is knowledge or skill acquired by instruction or study and modification of a behavioral tendency by experience. In this debate, we will focus on the fundamental human need to learn, evolve, and become the best versions of ourselves through exposure to competitive education and corporate environments. I present to the panel our two main points. Number one, educational institutions produce better holistic learning experience through competitive ecosystems. The real world is competitive and competition has been used in teaching and learning throughout human history around the world. In the research paper, Learning Through Competitions by C.J. Chung, competition-based learning, or CBL, is described as a student-centered pedagogy that uses projects and other innovative activities. CBL also incorporates active collaboration and problem-solving methods. So unlike popular perceptions, succeeding in competitive education environments requires extensive peer collaborations. In other words, you cannot win alone. Such competition results not only in high individual averages, but overall high class averages, according to the 2018 article, The Value of Competition in Classroom by Joette Fabian. It therefore creates smarter and better prepared youth who are positioned for both individual and team success. Number two, the unique aptitude and attitude development in competitive learning environments. The Institution of Competition Sciences in its 2016 report outlined that competitions, academic, sporting, or creative, enables social and emotional learning, improves teamwork and collaboration, increases intrinsic motivation, enhances beneficial peer comparisons, strengthens self-concept, facilitates academic and corporate success, and has emerged as a central exercise of building resilience. The positive influence of competition on learning transcends academic success and has emerged as a determining factor for corporate success as well. Forbes reported that corporate learning drives competitive advantage, with successful companies developing a culture of innovation. Their learning goals are mainly informed by the need to stay ahead of the curve. Think about the history of companies like Nokia who lost their market to new competitors like Apple. These companies didn't fail to innovate, they simply failed to learn. The proposition can be summarized by this. Competition helps us learn that it is not always the best or the brightest who are successful, but rather those who work hard and stick with it, as stated by the neuroscientist Timothy Gunn. With the chaos that defines our world right now, all stemming from complacency and incompetence, a generation of competitive leaders and change makers striving for a better future is what we need. The proposition is therefore proud to propose. Thank you very much.
May we now give 30 seconds for the evaluator to note down his remarks? Thank you very much. May I now call upon the opening speaker of Team Negative, Toastmaster Pranav Trikanad. Pranav?
May I know the name, please?
Pranav Trikanad. Pranav, are you there? Yes. Are you ready?
I can't hear.
Pranav, could you try without your earphones? It might work.
Hello?
There's a lot of disturbance.
We have a lot of disturbance from your end, Pranav.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, but there is a lot of disturbance. There is a gushing sound from your side. Can you try without the headphones? Or is there, it's like an AC blowing into the microphone?
Not the fan, it's my fan. Okay, I'll put off the fan.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it is better. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage or to the screen the negative speaker, the negative opening speaker, Toastmaster Pranav Trikanad.
Life is not a competition. Life is about helping and inspiring others so we can reach our potential. Good evening to one and all. Today, we stand against the motion, competition benefits learning. Cambridge Dictionary says competition is a situation in which someone is trying to win something or be more successful than someone else. Learning is the activity of obtaining knowledge. Our following evidences will confirm that competition is insular, forcing teachers and students alike to concentrate on outcomes like marks other than learning the subject. Contrast the success of Finland with troubled American public education system. In result, as recent as 2019, US ranked much below Finland on all three measurements: maths, science, and reading. In Finland, there are no tests and competitions at any level. Clearly, the competitive tests in the US are not aiding any learning. Competition fuels inequality and conflicts by placing a premium on podium finish rather than learning. The research team of Korean Institute of Science and Technology published in 2018, after analyzing a total of 506 collision cases by 355 F1 drivers over 45 years, that competition becomes more about winning and fighting for the limited resources rather than learning. Competition reduces our risk-taking and creative ability. A research from HBS, that is Harvard Business School, in 2015 clearly states that competition reduces creativity by 50%. Competition leads to stress and desperate measures are taken. A 2016 report entitled The Phenomena of Suicide in Egypt, published by the Egyptian Coordination for Rights and Freedoms, indicates that there were 34 cases of suicide among Egyptian students out of a total of 157 between January to August 2015. Learning has always been a lifelong change, about lifelong changes, something permanent. It is a journey of growth rather than destination, just like in nature, non-linear and unstructured, like a river or a mountain or a tree. How then can we use the support of something as temporary as a competition that makes us insular, focus on winning, limits us, leads to conflicts, stress, suicides, and reduces our risk-taking ability. Seems self-defeating, doesn't it? Hence, we unanimously urge the House to reject the motion, competition benefits learning. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Request the audience to have patience for 30 seconds for the evaluator to mark his notes. May I now request on stage, onto the screen, from Team Negative, the rebuttal speaker, Toastmaster Nimi Sebastian. Toastmaster Nimi Sebastian.
Good evening, everyone. My team is against the motion, competition benefits learning. My worthy opponent was trying to imply that competition is enhancing better holistic systems of learning. I don't know if she have seen the research and the recent reviews based on how doping among athletes, okay, that is a team collaboration. It's about, okay, she also already mentioned it requires extensive peer collaboration and teamwork. So if she has seen how competition affects the teams and the people involved, the participants involved in athletics, if you have seen how doping cases are increasing and how many bans are happening because of doping, she should understand why competition is very not beneficial towards learning. Her second point, or another point that she suggested, was that it enhances learning, the life skills, okay, social learning, and she mentioned a list of skills, life skills, that is enhanced by competition. I would like you to consider the other side of the coin. I don't know why she forgot about that. What about the rivalry among the teammates in the same project? They want to see who is better than the other, and it is in no way helping the learning process. And another point she suggested was about academic success. I'm sure you might have heard, the House has heard the points suggested, listed by my opening speaker, and how the Finland model of education has been helpful or has been termed as the best among all the systems of education in the whole world. So that very clearly states that academic success is not a result of competition. It is a result of many other skills and aspects that helps in learning. And she also mentioned the example of the team of Nokia. Nokia did not fail because of their incompetence. They failed because they were not willing to change. They were not ready to change. It's not incompetence. They were trying to compete, but they couldn't stand the competition because they were not willing to change. So don't confuse change and competition. And my worthy opponent, I think, has forgotten the learning aspect given in the whole debate. So whether competition was beneficial to learning was our debate. So I hope I have convinced the House to reject the motion that competition benefits learning. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much. 30 seconds for evaluator to take down his notes. May I now invite on screen the next speaker, who is the rebuttal speaker of Team Affirmative, DTM Sudarshan Sheshadri. DTM Sudarshan Sheshadri.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, let me start by apologizing to you. I apologize because our worthy opponents wasted 3 minutes of your time. I apologize because you were put to test to listen to a speech which had no head nor tail. Let me go on to now demonstrate why our worthy opponents have completely missed the mark when it comes to the topic. Our opponents started by saying that life is not a competition. Let me reassure you, if it was not, you and I would not be sitting here and going through this debate. You and I are testament to the fact that we won the competition among those million cells to go and fertilize the egg, and therefore we got created. So life has always been about competition. Let me reassure you. He further went on to speak about competition is a determinant of success as compared to others. Alas, as Darwin proved, it's always been about the survival of the fittest. And if the fittest have to survive, you have to compete. Next up, he brought about a very, very odious comparison. Compared Finland to the United States of America on 3 parameters, math, science, and English, or some such thing. Let me reassure the House. The US economy is 3.6 times bigger than that of the Finnish economy. The GDP is about 36% more than that of Finland. These are facts which are clearly demonstrative of the fact that when the best compete, it is not about the consolation prizes that you give to everyone. It's all about the fact that the best will find a way. He further went on to speak about competition for resources. Don't we all know that resources are finite, and those that make the best use of resources have always succeeded? It is clearly evident from time immemorial that the races that have used the resources available to them and have grabbed as many resources have been able to succeed. And in this process, collaboration is an indispensable aspect of competition. He then further went on to quote a research from some Egyptian Institute of Children Committing Suicide. Again, if we were to believe our worthy opponents, the world will be full of consolation prize winners. Because guess who stands on top of the podium? It is the best and the brightest. Even as the Olympics motto says, Citius, Altius, Fortius. It is always those that strive for that little extra bit. And to do so, constantly learn, constantly evolve, constantly make their own way. To quote their own example, the mountains, the rivers, the trees find a way. They find a way. A river, when blocked by a mountain, drills a hole through the mountain. A tree, when shaded by another tree,
30 seconds for the evaluator to mark his comments. May I now call on screen the closing speaker of Team Negative, Toastmaster Bandana Jain. Toastmaster Bandana Jain.
Am I audible?
Yes, Bandana.
Okay. Competition reduces creativity by 50%. 506 collision cases by 355 F1 drivers over 45 years. 20% of suicides in university students in Algeria. Take a look at such whopping statistics, and you still believe that competition benefits learning? Absolutely not. It is in fact the most insidious villains of our times and the biggest antidote to learning. Our opening speaker today hit the motion with glaring eye-openers, which I would like to enumerate as follows. Competition digresses from the journey of learning by focusing on marks and end result rather than the process of actual learning itself. It inhibits the risk-taking ability and creativity, and it promotes inequality. He further enunciated the heart-wrenching cases of depression and suicide, especially in younger generation, as an aftermath of competition. Our rebuttal speaker slammed the opponent's arguments by hitting straight and citing the example of doping, which is absolutely detrimental to the sporting scene. She further hammered the opponent's claim that competition promotes social skills by saying that it doesn't promote social skills, it encourages rivalry and causes undue stress. So, I would like to say that a flower doesn't think of competing with the flower next to it. It just blooms. Like the flower, learning needs to be fluid, spontaneous, and untouched by the grisly scars of competition. Dear judges, my team has effectively proven today that competition is harmful for learning, and the motion that competition benefits learning should be strongly rejected.
Thank you very much. 30 seconds for the evaluator, please.
Jyotika, you are muted.
Oh, sorry. May I now call on screen the closing speaker of Team Affirmative, Toastmaster Nikita Kolande. Toastmaster Nikita Kolande.
Am I audible?
Yes, Nikita.
Ladies and gentlemen in the house, over the past 15 minutes, we have clearly witnessed that competition benefits learning. The opening speaker of our team has clearly defined the keyword learning and illustrated the fundamental human need to learn, evolve, and become the best version of ourselves through a bifurcation of two main points on the competitive educational and corporate front. On the educational front, the research paper was quoted named Learning Through Competition by C.J. Chung and 2018 article, The Value of Competing in the Classroom by Joet Fabian, which depicts how student-centered pedagogy uses projects and other activities, innovative activities, to benefit from competition-based learning. On the corporate front, a research by Forbes was quoted where corporate learning drives competitive advantage, with successful companies developing a culture of innovation. My rebuttal speaker has also shown you that there's no validity to the points raised by the opposition, by reassuring you that if life wasn't a competition, we wouldn't have been here to learn and debate. He also went on to say that it's all about survival of the fittest. When best compete, it's not about the consolation prize, but the best person in itself. He also further stated that collaboration is indispensable aspect of competition. Moving on to conclude by to constantly learn, constantly evolve, and constantly make your way. We as a team would hence request all you competitive leaders in the House to unanimously pass the motion, competition benefits learning. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Let us now give 30 seconds for the evaluator, please. It now brings us to the end of the debate session. We have seen two teams debate for the motion and against the motion, competition benefits learning. I hope the entire session was enriching. Let's now learn from the expert. What are the learning points that we can have from today's session? Over to you, DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Jyotika, and thank you, team, for a very, very beautiful debate. Competition benefits learning, and I think I learned a lot from your competition. But don't take it that I support the affirmative team. It's just a statement that I make. The way I will approach this is I will try to go speaker by speaker. First cover the opening speakers, then the rebuttal and the closing speakers. But in general, what we have seen today is more or less a kind of a copybook debate that I would love to be a part of, and it's going to be a very difficult from a judge's perspective to judge. But there are a few points which I would bring to your attention. Toastmaster Pooja's opening statement on competition-based learning for the affirmative team, very well done. I think the key thing which is done and which also very good for an opening speaker to do is to use definitions. What the definition does is it defines the boundary of your discussion. So she defined learning, she defined competition. And the more important is the definition also should be from sources which can be quoted. Sometimes someone makes a statement, we define learning as. We are not here to understand what you define learning as. We are here to understand how Cambridge or someone defines learning. So but that is something that Pooja did very well. The other thing that she did very well was the first two pieces of research that she quoted in terms of the collaboration and where the student-centered skill set building. Very well done in terms of that. And she also then went on to the 2018 article. The relevant point again is that her research and the articles that she quoted were research.
I think DTM Sandeep
the opposition. Yeah.
Yes, right. Okay.
Sorry?
We lost you in between, Sandeep.
So, okay, okay, where did you lose me?
Just for 10
you
to
could give me an
15
example.
seconds. That's all.
Okay. So I think the one thing which Pooja quoted, which the rebuttal speaker of the opposition missed, was her statement on corporate success. The statement she made was, corporate learning enhances competitive advantage. Now that's actually the reverse of the topic that you are discussing today. Right? It was not learning affecting competition. It was the other way around. And I think that's one thing which perhaps the rebuttal speaker of the opposition missed. But the way she structured her opening speech was very good. Now going to Pranav's opening speech. Very nice opening. Again, clear-cut definition of what is from a Cambridge dictionary. And the research on about Finland and US on why they are doing better in terms of schooling. Also moving, so he basically took three areas, right? He basically took the first one, which was schools, then sports, and the third one was things like risk taking and the effect on the general population. This was a spread of the opening speech, which helped him construct that and showing the audience that it was a well-rounded structure from an opening speech. What could he have done better? I think somewhere along the line, that Egyptian research could have been better explained. I did not see that fitting into that speech, and that was very well again picked up by the rebuttal speaker of the opposition. See, one thing is sure, when you construct your speech, don't always keep the rebuttal speaker of the opposition in mind, but try to make it as watertight as possible. So at least they need to scratch their head for some time before they come up with the rebuttal points. But this was the Egyptian one, which I thought was a bit of a misfit in that. Going to the rebuttal speaker of the negative team, which was Toastmaster Nimi. In terms of the way she approached it, very well approached in terms of identifying the exact reference point that you were rebutting. So enhancing better skills, which is, you talked about the doping of athletics. Yeah, the one thing which I missed that Toastmaster Nimi was a very clear-cut example. You just said cases of doping. It would have been supported well as a part of your rebuttal if you had given some specific examples and mentioned why you are saying that. Again, whatever you do in a debate, it needs to have a supporting. That was one. Enhancing the skill set. Now, again, enhancing the skill, you tackled that point well, but you went a little soft on the opposition. Can you please consider the other side? No, you don't need to be soft on the opposition. You can say that you guys were wrong. What you did was wrong, and you need to consider the other side. Come up with an example of doing that. It would have helped your rebuttal. Not that your rebuttal was wrong. Again, as I said, you missed that one statement from her, which says corporate learning enhances competitive advantage. Right? That's where I say you'll be listening for every single word that the opposition is doing. If you had picked that up, you would have said, what relevance does that statement have to this debate? Because it's exactly the other way around. Right? So that is something which you could have bring in, but otherwise a very good rebuttal. Toastmaster Sudarshan, this is a rebuttal which starts from the first statements that you make. And there are some rebuttal speakers who actually start off with, if the opening speaker has said good morning, he would start with the rebuttal, says, why are you saying good morning? It is good afternoon. That's an approach Toastmaster Sudarshan took. He took the rebuttal right to the first statement, which says, you guys started off with life is not a competition. Who says life is not a competition? So that's where he started off with. That's the aggressive style of rebutting, which actually makes a difference and which can get you good points. The other important thing, and perhaps the most salient point of his rebuttal, was the difference between the GDP of Finland and that he brought onto the table. It has not made Pranav's thing anyway lesser, but it has given Toastmaster Sudarshan more points on his rebuttal because he immediately was able to rebut with statistics. You guys are comparing Finland and US, but are you serious? Why should you compare Finland? And that's the kind of approach that he was taking, which is important in the rebuttal statement. He went into some of the other things, again, very point by point, very nicely done between referencing every single point made by the opposition speaker. The only thing, two things which DTM Sudarshan did. One was the fact that last thing about that river flowing and I think he had time, so he was going on with it. He realized that he had some time on his hands, so why not add something of my own? So that was one. And the other thing was the first statement, I want to apologize for the time wasted by my opponent. That's a borderline kind of a remark. Right, in terms of how sarcastic or how rude you can get. I always say you can be politely rude. This was like a borderline, but it is accepted in a debate. At the end of it, when you get up, you shake hands and walk away. So that was a rebuttal from DTM Sudarshan. Coming to the closing speakers, right? The two closings that ladies and gentlemen, you heard today were copybook closings. If I were to give examples to anyone on how a closing should be done, these are the two classic examples. A little different styles, but beautifully done. Toastmaster Bandana, she emphatically started with the research and the things that were thrown out to you by her opening speaker. Basically saying, I'm sure you guys heard these points. If you have not heard these points, I'm going to remind you of it. So that is that emphatic beginning which she did. She actually went back to the statistics and how bringing back those statistics and reminding you of it. She told about how the rebuttal speaker, a lot of times what I've seen is the closing speaker gives a lot of attention to the opening speaker because they have obviously had time to look at the opening speaker's speech. But in this case, Toastmaster Bandana also gave enough time to the rebuttal speaker, where how the rebuttal speaker brought in the relevant points defeating the opening speaker's statements. And actually at the end brought in a very nice closing statement about the flower and asked the house to reject the motion. So very well done in terms of the closing. Now, if I go to Toastmaster Nikita, again a copybook styling, but more the conservative way. She went the logical way. Toastmaster Bandana went the emphatic way. Toastmaster Nikita went the logical way. For the last 15 minutes, this is what you have done. Hence X, Y, and Z. She repeated the perfect points from the opening speaker about the competitive education, corporate learnings. She brought in that same point. See, the point as a closing speaker is you don't become judgmental on whether the opening speaker has made the right statement or not. You are only a person who's repeating what the opening statement has done. So that is where she brought in. Maybe she was for or not, it's a different discussion. The rebuttal also, she brought in all the relevant points which the rebuttal speaker DTM Sudarshan did. But you missed the most important statement that DTM Sudarshan said. You missed the US versus Finland comparison. If there was one rebuttal statement that killed the opposition was the comparison between US and Finland. And you missed summarizing it as a part of your closing speech, right? So that was an injustice to your rebuttal speaker. Right, so that is something which needs to come up, that you give enough, balance to both of them, and to miss such an important part. See, the others, if you had missed, it would not have mattered. But one was a very, very powerful rebuttal coming from DTM Sudarshan, so that should have been done. As I said, very balanced debate. I don't want to get into which team won, which team not. But one thing which was clear in both the debates, and which is also one of the markings in the ballot sheet, is a feeling to the judge of whether these two teams have worked together as a team. All other Toastmasters events are individual based. This is the only one which is asking the three Toastmasters to work as a team. And that can only come up when you see that the impression that the judges need to get is that this team has worked together. A lot of times we see an opening statement person coming and doing his opening statement, a rebuttal person comes and does whatever he wants, and the closing speaker then on his own track, right? But this today, the example of both the teams today was a classic example how they worked together and had a common theme, which is basically, this is what I want to say, this is what we want to say. And a lot of times the feeling of being a common theme and working as a team is brought together by the closing speaker. And that's what I say is the most important part. It's the closing speaker who can really give the judges an impression that these three people have worked together. So in summary, I loved it. It was a very interesting debate. And as I said, even in your competition, I have learned something. So all the best for all the future debates that you have. Incidentally, Nikita was a member of my team when we were won the debate championships a few years back. and she was the closing speaker in that one. And the others, what you have seen today, are also members of debate winning teams in various clubs at various points of time. DTM Sudarshan just last week did an education session, exactly this one, for a division in Dubai. So these are fairly experienced people in debates who have been doing this for some point, and it was my pleasure to evaluate them. Difficult, but my pleasure. Over to you.
Thank you. Jyotika, shall I continue?
Yes, ma'am, you may continue, but before that, if we can have a photo session so that we can capture everyone in one frame. Request everyone to please switch on your video so we can see your face and capture it.
And a round of applause to our District 105 and the debating team.
Yes.
Thank you. Even as Toastmasters pose for a photo, I will continue so that we make the best use of the time that is at our disposal. Thank you, DTM Sandeep. If I were to have
Yes, I am ready. Toastmasters, please smile. And you can talk, but also pose for the photo at the same time.
I can't smile and talk. DTM Sandeep, if I were to have one more debate with the topic, the debate session has been immensely beneficial. Team negative wouldn't stand a chance at all. Thank you very much for the education session that you have taken on debate. Even those of us who have conducted debates and who have participated in debates had a lot to learn from you and from your team. I also thank Toastmasters, Sudarshan, Pranav, Nimi, and Bandana for that exhilarating debate that you presented to us. Thank you very much. Now, moving on to the questions. DTM Sandeep, there was a question even before the model debate was conducted. And just as I asked you a question about the topic not being a question, there was a question from DTM Urmila Shetty. In fact, I think I myself raised that question to Jyotika when she gave this particular topic about competition enhancing learning. Originally, the topic was with a negative, does not enhance learning. And I myself asked Jyotika, if you put it in the negative, the for and against motion becomes quite of confusing. So isn't it better to avoid negative and to have affirmative topics? That's the question raised by DTM Urmila.
No, it is. And as I said, over a period of time, you try to make topics more interesting, right? And sometimes just to confuse the people out there, you can do this, and there is nothing wrong. You could do that. See, as I said, there is no hard and fast rule about it. What you are saying is absolutely right. For a beginning debater, it does create a problem, but once you get experience, these are the kind of topics which bring some fun element as a part of the debate.
It's a good tactic to confuse the seasoned debaters, but I'm afraid whether it would confuse the judges also. That is one risk that we may run when we have this kind of topics. But as you said, yes, we have the liberty to decide. The next question was from Diksha Shetty. The question was, if we are not supposed to bring in new points in the rebuttal, can we bring in new research if we find that the research provided by the opening speaker was faulty? So can we bring in new research? I think
absolutely. Only way is reference it to the point made by the opening speaker. For example, you see what DTM Sudarshan did today. He brought in the point about the GDP of US being 3 times, right? But he referenced it to the original point. You can do it. If someone has come up with a research which says X, the rebuttal speaker can go in and say, sir, you said X, but do you know that there is a subsequent research, or there is another research which does X, Y, which says X, Y, and Z? If you just bring it as a generic research, it will be taken up as adding new points. But if you reference it to an original point, it's considered a rebuttal.
Correct. Yes. Thank you very much for that. My question is also about the structure, in the sense you said 70 and 30. 70 for the content and 30 for the presentation. Now my question is, when we give the topic beforehand, or even if we give it just 10 to 15 minutes earlier than the scheduled debate, now both the opening speaker and the concluding speaker can be prepared 100%. Am I right? Within the team. And if they also read out, then wouldn't that go against the impact of the whole debate?
No, it's not. It's not. See, again, if they read it, it's fine. The impact of the debate is on the number of supportings that you're bringing in, right? It doesn't matter. You can have the more solid the case, you build a solid case by your supportings. You don't build up a solid case by the actions that you do. See, most of the debates, even when we did the debates in a physical manner, we did the debate standing at a podium. So we had papers in front of us and we were standing at a podium and delivering it. We never used the stage for body language and so on. That was not relevant to the debate at all. Right? It's all the content which is what is important. Sometimes the podium also helped us to do some drama. So we could bang the podium and say, how can you say this? So we brought in some of those points. We went and stood at the podium with your hand on our head and said, I don't know why I am here. The opposition is not given any statement for me to rebut. So you could bring in all of this drama, but the key again remains on the content.
All right. So you say 70 and 30 would be the good ratio.
So you even if you go look at the 30, right? It is not body language. It is not stage movement. It is voice. It is grammar, and it is pronunciation, right? It's still a lot of content other than the voice. It is not whether you move your hands or you move around on the stage that's going to give you points.
All right. Now,
yeah, may I?
Since this
is
follows,
it open to the...
I'll come to that. We have decided on that. We will come to that. When she gives me the flag, we will come to that. Depending upon the fact that the debate is so structured, in your division, do you have judges training program for this?
No. See, there is one thing judges have developed over a period of time. Unfortunately, as a judges training program, which normally the district conducts, we can't conduct this because it is not a TMI event. So if you want to do it, you can conduct a separate judges program, but we have never done that. Over a period of time, by just taking part in debates, by reading the judges' ballot and everything, the judges have developed over a period of time.
All right. Our division director, Molly Chowdhury, has one question, whether there is a particular debate jargon that you could help us with. Is there anything like debate jargon that
you heard quite a bit during the part of the debate, right? My learned opponent, right? The motion, the house, right? So the audience is considered the house. The statement is considered the motion. You accept the motion or reject the motion. You pass the motion or reject the motion, or you defeat the motion, right? The other terminology is things like the research. So research is there, does not have any supporting, does not have any validity. So some of these are standard things that you use during the course of the debate.
All right. With this, we come to the end of the questions posed on the chat box and my own questions. Now, may I request those of you who are interested in raising questions to unmute yourselves and come up with your questions. If any one of you is interested in raising a question, please go ahead. You can introduce yourself and then come up with your question.
Yeah, I've already introduced myself, Sandeep, or I have been introduced to you earlier.
Yeah.
I want to sort of say in the beginning that I was very happy when you defended your judging sheet, because the first point I had written was, it was wonderful that it was 70-30, that content is given importance. So I felt validated. Secondly, what I wanted to point out was, you said my way or the highway. Like, you have to push for your point because it's a debate. Now, isn't that something that does not really stand scrutiny in real life when we say my way or highway? No, life is not black and white, right? So can we not, say things like, mostly this is going to happen, there may be exceptions, but I would still push for this, because wouldn't it look artificial is what I'm thinking. It's just a thought. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It sounds artificial to me. A small sliver of a thought where you say there could be exceptions. We have to accept that, right? But my point is superior because of these reasons.
Yeah. See, the point that if let's say you make that statement, right, and let's say the statement made by the opening speaker of the affirmative team today was, maybe there might be, or let's take the topic which I said, that women are better managers than men. So, and if the opening speaker of the affirmative team comes up and says, there might be some cases in which men are better, but generally women are better managers. The definition of some is an opening to the rebuttal speaker. See, you are there as a part of the team to defend your position. You are not there to judge anything else. Life is unfair and is unfair in a lot of cases, but you are there, you have been sent there to defend your position. It's like a war you are going to fight. The reasons for the war, whether they are right or wrong, is not your thing to judge. That's why I said, as an opening speaker, just go with a statement. This is the only thing, period. A doubt in your mind can actually create a lot of things from a rebuttal perspective. And again, as I said, this is more from a contest rather than the realities of life.
Yeah, okay.
There is an interesting question. Okay, Bharati, have you to say anything?
Yeah, another small point. The rebuttal speaker of the affirmative team speaks fourth.
Yep.
So, by nature, the affirmative team has an advantage. I mean, it can happen either way.
Why do you think they have an advantage?
I rebut the rebuttal of the opposing team.
You can't. That's what I said. As a rebuttal speaker of the, so today DTM Sudarshan cannot rebut the points raised by Toastmaster Nimi. He has to only rebut the points of the opening speaker of the negative team. That's number one. He cannot rebut the rebuttal of Toastmaster.
Why? I'm speaking fourth. You spoke third.
No, that's in the rules. I'm saying that's in the rules. That's in the rules. I should not be rebutting the rebuttal. That's the rule. Number one. Number two, if you think that they are getting an advantage from a timing perspective, they don't.
No,
because they are both, yeah. But otherwise, they are not, as a rule, they are not supposed to rebut. Sudarshan, you are going to say something.
Yeah. Yes. So, Bharati, just to demonstrate, in today's debate, I did not touch upon any single point that their rebuttal speaker spoke about. My entire rebuttal was based on whatever Pranav said. I did not touch upon anything that Nimi said, and that is the rule that we follow. Second is that the minute you get into rebutting the rebuttal, you lost the plot, because your essential role is to negate the opening speaker. You are not here to rebut the rebuttal speaker, because the rebuttal speaker is essentially negating your opening speaker, and you are in no way even reiterating the points that your opening speaker has said. You are basically saying, you guys don't understand the topic, your research is inferior, your knowledge is poor, your presentation is inadequate. That is what I am attacking. In my role as a rebuttal speaker, I am attacking the opening speaker. If I go to the rebuttal speaker, I have lost the entire plot, and I will not be in a position to impress upon the audience or the judges why my team's position is valid and theirs is invalid. But the role is to demonstrate their position is invalid. My position being valid is not in contention at all, because that my opening speaker is done. My whole role is to say your position is completely invalid. And this is the reason why. Am I right?
Okay, this is new.
Yeah,
new
you are right. You are right.
New information. So thank you for that. I'll have to mull over it, reflect on it.
We would like to move on because there are 2 more questions which have already been raised. Now, one has been sent to me in private, so maybe the person doesn't want the name to be mentioned, and it's an interesting question. The question is that since debate is not a Toastmasters international competition, and it does not have the rules and guidelines being given by the TMI, can we also have political debates? That's the question raised.
Technically, yes. I don't think there is any reason. It's up to you. Again, as far as I am aware, that the taboo topics which we define as sex, politics, and religion are not defined by TMI anywhere. These are taboo topics which have been defined for the region. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sudarshan, on this, but the taboo topics of sex, religion, and politics are not there in any TMI book. I stand
right.
corrected.
You're absolutely right. Even in the US, if you see Toastmasters clubs, they have speeches on religion. There are Toastmasters who do their DTM speeches on preaching about why one religion is better than another religion, etc. So it is only in our region that we have decided to put these as taboo topics, and for very valid reasons.
Okay, so again, it is up to our discretion to choose the topic. All right, Beena has shown the red flag, but there is one question that I request DTM Sandeep to take and Beena to permit one, because this is the very last question on the chat box. So let's make everybody feel happy. This is from Kavita, area director from Mysore. She is just asking for other formats of debate. I think the question is, the answer will not take too long. So whether there are other formats of debate.
Yes, there are. And I think DTM Molly mentioned that in the beginning. So there are definitely other formats of debates. The only thing is that what we have found is they normally take a longer time than there, and they become more serious. If looking at a fun kind of a debate, as I said, an IPL T20, then this is the shortest one that we have found. The others normally start off with at least 35 minutes to 50 minutes. As a part of the debate club that where I am, we do another format which is called the challenge format, but that goes on for 50 minutes with 3 on either side. That's a much more intense format.
This gives you the team spirit because you are working as a team. Yes. With this, we come to the end of Q&A session. Once again, I very warmly and sincerely thank all of you, DTM Sandeep and your team, for this learning experience that we have had. May I now request Toastmaster Sapna. Am I right, Jyotika, or do you have to say anything?
It is Sapna, but we just would like to have audience feedback, maximum two, from 2 of them, how they felt about the session and what is your feedback.
This is Mini Mohan here, and I'm finding this very informative, and thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Sandeep and the whole team for organizing it. This was quite a new experience because we have not seen many debates, and this was such a, we would really like to do this format in our clubs also. And it was so interesting because we were wondering how to organize it in such a short notice, and you gave us a formula. Thanks, Satan. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Division F, for organizing this.
Thank you, DTM Mini, and we hope to see many debaters from Kerala then, right? All right, let's. Anyone else is willing to give a feedback? Would like to give a feedback?
Can I say something, Jyotika?
Yes. Who is this? Yes. I can't see you.
Lyra.
Yeah. Lyra. Yes, Lyra. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, GTM Sandeep, for having given us this opportunity. When it comes to debates, I am the last person because sometimes it goes personal. So I refrain. It's not that I wouldn't want to be a part of it, but today you gave us so much of insights and you enlightened us on this. I think from now on, we can have something like this
in our clubs. Thank you for all the information.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lyra. With that, I think we don't have time even for the feedback session. I hand it over to Sapna. And before that, I would like to personally thank Sandeep for the project well done, I would say. Wonderful. Thank you very much to you and your team as well. And over to Sapna.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jyotika. District leaders, Toastmasters and guests, a very good evening. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks for the evening. On behalf of all the leaders and members of Division F, I extend a big thank you to DTM Sandeep Vengsarkar, sorry for the wrong pronunciation, for that wonderful education session that enlightened all of us about debating. You wonderfully dissected and clearly explained us all the aspects of debate, be it the format, execution, timing, rules, etc. Thank you also for that brilliant evaluation you gave us at the end of the debate. Please give him a big thunderous round of virtual applause, please. Further, I must also mention my deep sense of appreciation to Toastmaster Pooja Baburaj, DTM Sudarshan Sheshadri, and Toastmaster Nikita Kolangde from Team Affirmative, and Toastmaster Pranav Trikanad, Toastmaster Nimmi Sebastian, and Toastmaster Bandana Jain from Team Negative for participating and demonstrating the debate. I was truly awestruck looking at all of your debating skills. Why do we stick to virtual applause? Can we take a moment? Please unmute yourself and please give this team a thunderous round of applause.
Yay!
Thank you, everyone. You can mute again. I also would like to acknowledge my gratitude to DTM Malini Hebbar for moderating the Q&A session and Toastmaster Jyotika Shetty for moderating the debate. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Division Director DTM Molly Chaudhary along with DTM Malini Hebbar, DTM Bharti Shevgur and Toastmaster Jyotika Shetty for putting up this wonderful session. I also extend my thanks to various other role takers, our Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Deepa Bandari, and our timer for today, Toastmaster Beena Shetty. Please give them a round of applause. Thanks to the district leaders of District 121, division leaders, and all the Toastmasters and guests who attended this session today. To the Toastmasters of Division F, I would like to say, picture abhi shuru hui hai. This session was just a demo. The bigger excitement will be when the finest debate battles will happen in October at the division contest. So leaders, please gear up and get your clubs ready for the battle. Once again, thanks to each one of you for being with us this evening. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Jyotika.